a legendary figure, truly one of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport, and a really good person as well. And a guy that, for all of his exploits, still, in my estimation, remains underrated. He was that good. And it's really a blessing and a pleasure to have the great Larry Holmes with us tonight. Larry, listen, thank you for the time, and I hope and trust that you are well in these very strange times we find ourselves in.
I thank you for saying those good, kind words because, a lot of people don't say that. A lot of announcers, they don't say I was one of the great ones. But you did it, and that's what I need for people to realize. And that's why Jerry Cooney and I are going to come back and make out of retirement and fight a good exhibition. And then we want Mike Tyson, and we want Evander Holyfield, whoever, but we want the winner of their fights challenge us, the winner of our fights.
Now, you're 70 years old, but you want to do this because you want to do it for the right reasons. And what's really interesting is that, the first time around with you and Cooney, life was different then. Society was different. Everybody wanted to make it out as a racial thing, the great white hope against Larry Holmes. And that was truly not what you guys were all about. Both of you were fine men and class acts. And, of course, you became fast friends after you stopped him in the 13th round of that fight. And that's one of the reasons you want to do this now, correct?
Yeah, I tell you, because, it can't be no racism in my family. I mean, all my brothers were married to white women, and I got white nephews and nieces and stuff like that. And we live and get along together. That's why I don't leave Eastern Pennsylvania. Eastern is quiet, and, everybody accepts everybody for what they are. If you get out of line, then it's a different story. But if you stay in line, we're ready to go.
Well, Cooney's a good guy. He's proven that over a period of time. He was a good fighter. He just wasn't good enough to beat your caliber of fighter. But what really prompted this? What is the idea behind you guys getting back together and doing this at this stage?
Because everybody said we're old, and we're not old. We're still doing the same thing. I'm still running 3-4 miles, and Jerry Cooney runs every day, and then goes in the gym. And so, and he hits the bags and stuff like that. And he wants to prove that he ain't over the hill. He can still fight. There's still a lot of guys that he fights in exhibitions and he takes out. And I keep telling him, don't hit them guys hard. I seen him fight a couple of guys in the exhibition fight, and he hit them guys. He hits them. And I told Jerry, don't do that because he'll lose fighters that way.
Yeah, you got that right. The great Larry Holmes is with us talking about boxing. You mentioned Tyson and Holyfield. Tyson's 53, Holyfield's 57, I think, and they want to come back, and it's obvious they probably would get together with each other. That's the way they can make money. It's called an exhibition. Is that what you see it as an exhibition, or do you think these two guys genuinely get after each other again?
I already told Jerry, don't hit me hard. You know what I mean? But you know how Jerry is. He kind of like sleeps on the job. And he probably take one on the right hand, the left hook he got, and bang me with it. But if he do, I told him I'm gonna knock him out. But Jerry's a good guy. We talk a lot, and we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna have fun doing it. And we hope people are gonna enjoy it. And the money is for charity. It's not for my pocket or anything like that. It's for charity. So I just want to have fun with it. And me, when it's all over, we party, get a drink or something like that, and hey, like bygone be bygone.
What about Tyson and Holyfield coming back and wanting to fight each other in an exhibition? What do you make of that? You think they're serious? Do you think they want to do it for real? Or is it an exhibition? Or how do you see Tyson and Holyfield?
Yeah, I think Mike Tyson, he wants to do it. He don't like the way he went out, and I don't blame him. And he wants to put on no fights. He wants to put on a couple of fights. Same with Holyfield. These guys are champions. They fight. And most of the fighters today, as you've been noticing, they ain't got nothing. Why not come back? They don't have anything. Come back and be a champion again. But I'm not going to stretch mine out because I don't want a career. I had that for 20 years. I just want to go in there and box a little bit, show the people I still can block, I still can duck punches I still can hit, and let that be. But I don't know if Tyson and them guys want to do that. They want to go out there, you know. But that's not you getting nothing out of that.
Visiting with the great Larry Holmes, 260-1061 to join us. Larry, you look at the heavyweight division today. We just had this big ballyhooed fight, the rematch with Fury and Wilder, and Fury kind of took him apart the second time. You got Anthony Joshua out there. How do you see the heavyweight division today, and how do you see boxing today?
Well, I tell you, man, I watched Joshua fight the other day when he was fighting no guys. I mean, don't impress me. It don't impress me. I mean, they're strong and they're big, but now what Wilder have? They don't have anything. They couldn't get past my left jab, and if they get past my left jab, it's a big fool on me. But I doubt they could get past that left jab. That Holmes hammer, they couldn't get past it.
Well, your left jab was one of the very best punches in boxing history, and you won your first 48 fights. Just absolutely remarkable. And as I mentioned, you never got the credit you deserved, and I've always felt like that was because you came after Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali is still, the greatest to ever put the gloves on, and in terms of the overall package and what he did for the sport, what he did to for civil rights, what he did for his own self, and giving up nearly 3 years of his career, and then of course, you had to fight him later on in your career, and I know that was a very tough night for you. That's not something you really enjoyed a lot, was it?
It was a tough night, and it was a tough night in a lot of ways because I admired the guy, I liked the guy, I loved the guy. He gave me a job, and he taught me how to box, and I learned how to duck the punches and not take the punches. Stuff like that, and then I have to fight him, and that was not good. But we got to do what we got to do, and that's the same thing Holyfield wants to do, and Mike Tyson wants to do. They want to go down as known as one of the great fighters of all time, and I want to remain one of the greatest fighters of all time. So when we go in there, Jerry Cooney and I get in the middle of that bell ring, I'm gonna hit Jerry. And then I'm going to say, how do you like that?
260-1061. It's 504-260-1061 to join us. Jay is in Covington. Hi, Jay. Thanks for the call. You're on with Larry Holmes. Good evening.
Good evening, Ken and Larry, and thank you so much, Ken, for having this great man on. I met Larry back in the 90s. He was down here on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi Gulf Coast. And I talked to him. He was like a friend I've had for the last 30 years. I mean, it was just so easy. And you're such a good man, Larry. And you were in an organization way back when it was a service organization that I was in too. And you were well thought of. And Ken, you're right. Larry was so overshadowed by the greatest. He cast a very large shadow too, the greatest, Muhammad Ali. But he took a lot of bum raps because of some of the things he said. And I always thought the press was just not that good on him. And Larry, it's good to hear your voice.
Hey, thank you very much for the kind words. And when you get one writer mad at you because you didn't do something for him, then they take it out on you, and then it's spread around. But you know what, man? I'm blessed. I'm blessed by God. God gave me the ability to box, and He gave me the ability not to hate nobody, not to hurt nobody, and I love that, man. I could hurt a lot of people while I was fighting, but I didn't try to hurt nobody. I just wanted to be a champion. I wanted everybody to know I'm a champion. And when all of this said and done, the people will write down Larry Holmes was one of the greatest champions of all time.
Well, that you are, Larry. And thanks, Ken, for having him.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for the call, Jay. Appreciate it. It's 504-260-1061. Larry, one of the hardest things in boxing is to know when it's time to quit, and you came back several times as well. And, of course, what needs to be noted is that although you came back and fought to your 52, you won your last 4 fights. It
Yeah.
wasn't like you came back and got hammered or got pummeled or got embarrassed. You won your last 4 fights. When is it enough, and how does a fighter know when it's enough?
Now, they
Yeah,
need to know it's
anytime,
enough.
really. Yeah,
Now it's time for me not even think about it. My wife hollers at me every time I think about boxing. Well, that's what made me, Larry Holmes. And I ain't gonna get hurt. I'm not gonna let myself get hurt, and I'm not gonna go out there and fight somebody that's gonna kill me. Jerry Cooney ain't gonna kill me, so I'm gonna, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. You know, he might try to kill me, but he ain't gonna be able to do that. But I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy the fighters that fighting today. I don't even know what the heavyweight division look like no more because these guys just keep changing every time you turn around. But boxing has been my idol and my greatness, and I want to hang on there with it.
when you look back at all the victories you had, uh, i- any one or two that stand out in your mind as the best victories that you had, the greatest fights? I mean, I can think about 5 or 6 that were great
Yeah.
fights, and some guys that were obvious in terms of the opponents, others that were turned out to be good fights, which maybe people didn't understand would be. A guy like Witherspoon who was tough, a guy like Weaver who was tough, who people really didn't know very well, but then there were the
Yeah.
big names too. What about the 2 or 3 fights that stand out the most in your
Well, I
mind?
tell you what, my idol. First of all, fighting my idol was a lot of pain I went through because I didn't want to fight him. That was Muhammad Ali, one of the great fighters of all time. And I don't mind saying he was one of the great fighters or greater than me or whatever. And he was something else. And then the next guy was Kenny Norton, a guy that fought. He put a lot of pressure on you, and he would knock your head off. You know, I got a lot of guys, man, like Ernie Shavers. Man, you hit Ernie Shavers hit you, boy, it's good night already. If you don't, if you don't be ready when you go out there to fight Kenny Norton or Muhammad Ali or Ernie Shavers, that's it, man. No guys was tough, and they didn't take no prisoners.
Well, when I look at, and I love boxing in those days, still love the sport, but in terms of hardest hitters, I mean, Shavers would be right
Yeah.
up there. He'd be right near the top. George Foreman obviously would be right near the top, and you almost got together with him if either was canceled, as I
But
recall.
well, you know
You
what?
know,
I'm gonna tell you, I blame Ernie Shavers for this, but in the joking way I did. The reason why Ali was stumbling around and stuff like and slurring his words is because he fought Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers had him drunk 3 or 4 times around. Every time he turned around, he hit Ali. And you can't take those punches from Ernie Shavers. You can't take those punches from nobody. But Ernie Shavers, I mean, he hit him. And when I tell Ernie, why you hit him like that? He laughed. He laughed because it was in his victory, his favorite, whatever. But Kenny Norton, Ernie Shavers, uh, Muhammad Ali, those guys,
hmm
they benches with their stuff.
well, those were certainly memorable. 260-1061. Let's take another call. This time it's our friend Alan Donez who's called in. Alan, how are you?
Hey, Ken, good to hear your voice and good. Is that Larry Holmes, really?
Hey, give me a job. Hey, give me a job. I need to work.
Larry, I get confused. Are you the grill guy or is that guy from Texas?
That's the other guy. That's the other guy, George Foreman. And you know what? See, I keep telling him. I told George, man. I said, let's fight. He didn't want to fight me, man. You win.
No, you spent a couple of years trying to get him into the ring. He just he doesn't want to give up that spotlight. I don't think.
He's a nice guy. I mean, you can't carry the light around forever. The light will go out. So well, you know what? That he got what he want. He's doing what he want to do. He's happy, and I'm happy that he is happy. And I wish we could have fought together so we could have got a lot of people to shut their mouth. So, because everybody said, what about George Foreman? What about George Foreman? And they, what about George Foreman? George Foreman don't want no parts of Larry Holmes. So, we had to sit back and live with that, Alan. And I want to thank you, Alan, for being around being there for me with the news and everything, with the press. I love it. You're a good man, Alan.
So you are too, Larry. Ken, you know I've had some health problems over the years, and I've had 2 kidney transplants. And always, Larry would call the dialysis center, usually 2 times, sometimes 3, but at least 2 times a week. And if you know anybody who's been on anything like that, whether it's chemotherapy or iron lung or dialysis, you'd accept a, you'd accept the subpoena just to have somebody to talk to, and that always meant a lot to me. Kenny, I know you prayed for me and stuff, but it meant a lot to me that Larry would call.
Hey, Alan, you know how many years it's been now that you and I have been hooked up talking?
103. We hooked up like we first started working together. I want to say in like '93, with Marlon Torgerson and the people at Casino Magic. And so I know I was married when I met you, and I'm divorced since. You're still married to the same. So many people don't know about Larry because there's a lot of things that he's second on. But Larry's been married to Diane for how many years now, Larry?
39
Your wife?
years.
39.
With without hiccups, they're a good team. They work for each other. You could screw something up and not be right money-wise with Larry, but Diane knew where every penny was, and really is such a great great when you see a marriage like that. It's just great. But Larry was closing in on Marciano's record. There was a big deal made about that, and Larry and I talked to a network in the UK a year or 2 ago, and the guy said, "Oh, you got so close." But nobody ever says Larry Holmes has the second longest reign as heavyweight champion. Second longest, only to Joe Louis, and Joe Louis, was during the war, so he held on to it without really fighting, a lot of big prime people. And then also Alan, closing in on 49, nobody says, "Oh, Larry Holmes is 48-0. He's one off of Marciano."
Yeah,
and I think it's quite an accomplishment.
No doubt, it was incredible. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, but go ahead, Larry.
I never worried about records and who my record is going to be or match or whatever. I just want to win the fight. I just want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to do what I do. And
Larry, I heard some records of yours when you were a singer, and I'm glad you're not too concerned about those records.
Alan, I do everything that I got to do or can do or try to do. I try to put it all together. I love people, and you know what? When people ask for autographs, you never see me turn them down. Never.
Larry's one of the few athletes out there, and one of the things he can tell you about Evander Holyfield, maybe he did already, in Los Angeles. But a lot of fighters, like a lot of ex-athletes or former athletes, won't do an appearance anywhere unless it's a ton of money, and they won't sign anything unless they're paid. And part of the reason Larry Holmes' autograph isn't worth a ton is because if somebody asks Larry to sign it, especially if kids are involved. And when we would go somewhere together, all the guys that were near Larry, we had his business card with his picture on it in our pockets with some Sharpies, because people would come up with like a napkin or something strange, that they wanted to get signed, and Larry would say, "I have something better," and he'd put his hand out. And if it went to me or went to Jay or any of the other guys who were in the camp, and you didn't have one, you got a snow from Larry. And those were printed at his own cost and handed out for free, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Well, he's a generous man. He's a generous man, and we have prayed for you for quite some time, Alan, and know that Lord's brought you back to this point in time. And I could make a joke and say that your kidneys were bad because you took too many right hands from Larry Holmes, but that's another story.
Hey, listen, real quick before you go, I know you got to go. Some people get the wrinkles out the stomach. They refuse to acknowledge it. They forget where they come from. I don't want to forget. I don't ever want to forget. People are your greatest asset. And that's why I'm around Adam. I'm the last guy out of the place when I come down to signing autographs, taking pictures. And I appreciate that. I appreciate having friends like you guys, man, to put it out in the world. Hey, listen, you say, well, you champ, you don't have to do that. No, I do have to do it. I went up to Holyfield and said, "Man, Larry, I want an autograph." "Hey, Holyfield, will you sign this autograph?" You know what he said? "Not right now."
Bo did the same thing in Mississippi.
Yeah,
and I think
I understand. I understand,
guys, I'm
and
going to
yet.
bail out.
Go ahead, Alan.
You guys are both great friends of mine, and I appreciate it. And we'll talk later. Kenny, I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. And last but not least, Larry, when do you plan on? And Alan's a wonderful person. When do you plan on this exhibition with Cooney? When is that going to take place, or do you know yet?
Well, we're working on it right now, trying to put it together because the weather is like bad out here too. You know, it's cold, and I don't know. My wife is handling it, so you know how that is when we're handling things. Don't get mad at me, ladies. Don't get mad at me.
Well, suffice it to say that we all have our better halves, and Diane will take care of that for you whenever that happens. Where's Cooney living right now? We know you're in Easton. Where's Cooney at?
Long Island. He's in Long
Island. Yep.
Yeah,
Still there. Well, it will. The fact that you're doing it for charity is wonderful. I'm sure it will go off well, and for boxing's sake, I hope things go well with Tyson and Holyfield, and more than that, we wish you nothing but success because you're a class act and one of the great champions in the history of the game.
Too, man. You're the best, Alan. You're the best, man. You're my man. And if you ever need me, call me up. I'll answer anything I can answer.
Well, I know you're telling the truth when you say that because that's the kind of person you are. Larry, listen, thank you so much. God bless you and yours, and I promise we'll visit again soon. God bless you here.
All right, thanks, guys.
Pleasure. It's Larry Holmes.